Alright, I thought I was done, but of course I'm not. I got something else to add. We got Basel III that just got basically rejected. The other good one that I saw, and I was actually expecting my naiveness really showed through with this, that they would actually institute those position limits. You know, it's real easy to do, and they'll do it real fast when it's some individuals like the Hunt brothers trying to corner the market in 1980. But when it's J.P. Morgan operating on behalf of the U.S. Treasury to suppress the price of silver, and then Congress, these potted plant bastards in Congress, passed something called Dodd-Frank, where there are position limits, 10% position limits. They say, no, we're not going to do that. Oh, we're going to, the banks, one of these banking associations sued the FTC and said, you got to put this stuff off. And then the internal vote at the CFTC was only a 3-2 decision to appeal that court ruling. So you have just over half of the commissioners up there at the CFTC even attempting to implement the Dodd-Frank position limits. And that has to be one of that's one of the better things that are in that bill. You know, what was it? J.P. Morgan owns like 30% of the net shorts. And then you got, Max Kaiser's, what was that thing? Crash J.P. Morgan and Buy Silver campaign 2 years ago. From 2 years ago till now, they've doubled that short position. And last I heard, Citibank is getting into it, and they're trying to pick up some of the slack because, and all it takes is for these guys that own SLV to try to take delivery, but I don't think they can. I mean, I live in Delaware, and we've got one of these big the Delaware Silver Depository up in Wilmington. When was the last time that place has been audited? You know, and that's the crazy thing about Delaware, and that's what I want the whole country to kind of understand about this little criminal state, Delaware. Most all the corporations are all registered here, and it's because the Delaware laws offer personal liability and criminal protections to CPOs and CFOs and all them guys against the fraud and shit that their company produces. I mean, look at Monsanto and what's the other one? DuPont. Both guys that are registered here in Delaware. Why? Because they're fucking killing people. And they don't care. Hey, man, it's all about that money. It's all about the eugenics. It's all about feeling more powerful than all the freaking plebes driving around eating their McDonald's genetically modified trash, garbage food. And so there are no rules, and Delaware is a big part of that. All the rest of the state should be pissed off that we allow this kind of crap. Where's MF Global registered? I'll give you a guess. I bet you only need one. MF Global is registered in the state of Delaware. You know, and you got state elected officials. Bo Biden is our Attorney General, the Vice President's son. Yeah, you know he's going to cover for Daddy. And then you got the auditor. Now you got the auditor running around taking on all these little small jobs. And I got some respect for Wagner, but he won't ever go after any of the big fish. Any of them guys that are registered at that address on Orange Street, you can just cancel that off the list. When was the last time he went and audited that silver depository? I bet he never has. But there's more fraud. There's more crime happening in the city of Wilmington than pretty much probably 90% of the rest of the country. Taking out New York, and the only place more criminal than Delaware, in Wilmington, Delaware, is probably New York City in the States. And they're only surpassed by London. So, you've got these operating markets that are in Chicago, in New York, in London, but you know, and you've got this whole federal apparatus that's built to protect it. It's built to protect these bureaucrats. Well, the bureaucrats are there to protect the banks from any kind of a prosecution. You know, Eric Holder's too busy running guns down to Mexico and shipping coke back to Wall Street for him to do any real, you know, prosecution. And so, and the easiest way to get a hold of this whole situation is to get a hold of the Delaware Attorney General. There's only so the New York Attorney General, Cuomo and Elliot Spitzer, them guys were, you know, they were doing some stuff, doing a little bit of stuff. They showed that as a state attorney general, they had some power to go out and prosecute. But if you want to go get big fish, if you want to run some RICO, some racketeering prosecutions and some big fat cases to put some big fat bankers in prison, it's got to be done in Delaware. And I realized that 2 years ago when I was running for the Attorney General. You know, people had a shot. They had an opportunity in this state to say, no, we don't want to export fraud anymore. We want to try to be honest. We don't agree with all this rampant white-collar crime. No, they didn't. They said, no, that's good. It's good for the state. Because as long as the state can export fraud, mutant chicken, and genetically modified corn and soy, we'll be okay. Even though our exports as a state are destroying and killing and maiming and bankrupting people across the planet, it's a-okay because we're getting paper. The state has sold its soul. And I like Chris Duane's stuff where he talks about, you know, whatever parts, whatever areas have benefited most from this dollar paradigm are going to be not the places you want to be in. And you can put Wilmington, Delaware at the top of that list. You know, you got, and look at the whole rest of the southern part of the state. You got cornfield after soybean field after corn, and it's all Roundup ready, genetically modified trash. The fields are awash in glyphosate, and I'll bet you couldn't even grow anything in there for a decade until after all that stuff gets washed out. And who knows? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the plants are more resilient to it. But from, you know, anybody reading the stuff on glyphosate, man, it's a nasty, nasty chemical. It's not biodegradable like they claim. And you can talk to the locals around here, and you can talk to the guys that know the farmers. You can talk to the farmers themselves, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, the GMO stuff is just mother's milk. And it's because they've probably had some slick-talking shyster from Monsanto with a fancy PowerPoint telling them how much money they're going to make once they become slaves of this multinational corporation that has nothing in the natural planet's interest. You know, their whole goal is to wipe out all natural seed. What kind of sick fuck? Oh, I know what's kind of a sick fuck allows that to go on. A bitch like Patricia Blevins, our Senate Majority Leader, the President pro temp of the Senate. And why? Because she is the crazy bitch that mandated, or that offered, sponsored the bill to mandate fluoride in all the water. Yes, hydrofluoric acid. When they mine phosphate, they gotta smoke the stuff out and cook it or whatever. You got a bunch of smokestacks, and the fluorine gas comes up out of it. Well, they can't let the fluorine gas go downwind because it kills everything it comes in contact with. So they got the wet scrubbers, and they're using the wet scrubbers to spray and mist the water into the smoke, and it draws down all the fluoride and stuff down at the bottom, and then that stuff is caught, and that's hydrofluoric acid. So every time you wrap your lips around that cup of water that comes out of your tap, I want you to picture you're wrapping your lips around the top end of a friggin' smokestack that it doesn't have any wet scrubbers in it. That's what you're feeding your children. It's just we got sick, and it's not even about incompetence. It doesn't matter if these people don't know what's going on. What they're doing is criminal. If I had been elected Attorney General, the people that put this poison in the water would be charged. It'd be up to a jury to decide whether they went to prison or not. But I sure as hell charge them, and I'd probably charge them with 400, 500,000 counts of attempted murder. Let's like to see them beat that rap. That's probably why this state is so dumb, because we've been fluoridated the longest. We got this idiot guy, Joe Biden. This is our big representative. He's the pride and joy of Delaware. Oh boy, look at this guy. What a joke. What a damn joke. You know, Delaware's the laughing stock of the rest of the country whenever Joe Biden gets up there and starts his rambling a bunch of trash. This whole state pisses me off. But it's okay. They're all going to wake up. They're all going to wake up to a really, really nasty set of situations. And that's the only way. You got to go through that before things can get better. Things are going to get so much worse. I just hope there's enough empty ground that, you know, we can plant some fruit trees and start a new set of crop, because looking at all this corn and soybean fields, none of that shit's going to be worth anything. I wonder what that land will go for per acre after after everything is found out. What we got here? All right, that's enough for now.